What's up, guys? It is day 21 of the check-in challenge. Or of the 30-day check-in, I should call it. I call it a challenge, but I think it's more just about me coming in here and doing these videos now. It started off as like a weight loss, all these no fab things I had in mind, but slowly realizing, God, that's just unnecessary pressure to put on myself. So let's say day 21 of the 30-day check-in, right? So let's start off with the weigh-in for today. 3, 2, 1. Cool. Now let's do the steps. 3, 2, 1. Weight today, 100 kilos. Woo! 225 pound club. Yeah, realistically, I haven't been tracking calories as much lately. Not necessarily because I've become disillusioned, just because I've just been in a bit of a rough spot, the past week or so. And I just haven't been doing it. I'm not going to beat myself up for it. Probably should get back on the wagon, but I'm in no rush at the moment. I'm actually kind of just enjoying filming these videos, talking to the camera, regardless of how little views I get. It's a fun little practice. And steps were about 23,000 today, which is pretty good because I did work today. I had a half day at work. And then I went for a little night walk. And yeah, as with a lot of my videos lately, I don't have a particular type of topic really to talk about today. I guess I'll just fill you guys in on what's been going on with my life as of today. So yeah, as I said, I had a half day of work today and I've taken tomorrow off. I'm slowly becoming a bit more disillusioned with my work. I think I've mentioned it a few times on my videos that I'm not getting the hours I want. Not for lack of trying. It's a little frustrating because I honestly believe that I am the best worker in terms, like in my particular section of the work that I'm in, doing the cleaning. I think I'm the best that there is. That may sound cocky, but I don't think it's cocky if it's actually true. I do the most. I do things without managers asking me to, simply because I just feel like I should be doing it. Like in terms of extra cleaning stuff around the stores, that if the thing is that if I have time, I would just go ahead and do other things to fill my time. I won't just sit on my phone and scroll through bloody Instagram or whatever. I don't. I'm working. When I'm there to work. So even recently on my last shift, which was a night shift on doing trolley collection, I didn't just do the trolleys. I did the trolleys. Once they were done, I went in, swept under fruit bunkers, restocked bathroom, went and cleaned underneath like the tissue aisle and everything like that, and then went and refilled all the trolleys, wiped down a few things, picked up some rubbish in the parking lot. And it's funny, even one of the dudes that was one of the customers who was in the store, he's like, man, I don't see anyone else really picking stuff up off the parking lot or doing any of that stuff. He's like, it's good you're doing this, bro, because a lot of people don't bother. And I said to him, man, honestly, I would do it even if I wasn't working. Like, this is I hate is hate a strong word? No, I do. I hate seeing people just litter and just throw shit on the ground because they're too lazy to chuck things in a bin. And a lot of people do it. And it's, in my opinion, it's just disgusting. Like, it's not that hard to chuck things in the bin. But people will just leave like half-eaten bananas and sushi boxes just either in trolleys or just chuck it on the ground because they can't be bothered walking an extra 10 meters to the bin. and I don't like to go to a place and see rubbish everywhere, so that's just my mentality. It's like, well, if I'm there, I'm going to help clean it up, because it just makes people feel a bit better when they walk into a place. Even if half of those people are the ones that are littering, it's like, who cares? Like, but you know, regardless, I don't want to get on a tangent in that. Regardless of me doing these extra things and, you know, filling in for people who are calling in sick on weekends, those are the people that are still getting the weekend shifts. And I don't know if it's similar for any of you guys in other countries, but I'm guessing it is. Like here in Australia, if you work weekends, you not only get your normal base pay per hour, but on Saturdays you usually get time and a half, so half of your hourly rate added onto your hourly rate. And on Sundays I think it's close to double time, and then if you work at night, that's another time and a half. So I worked on a night on Sunday, so I mean, just doing that extra 3-hour shift gave me an extra $110 this week. And all I've said to my manager is that I just want another 4-hour shift on the weekend, whatever. Like, that's 4 hours is the max. So I do 32 at the moment. The max is 36. So 4 hours would get me to that max. And that's honestly all I want. And I'll be able to actually start saving some money. But at the end of the day, and this is something that I'm sure a lot of you are probably familiar with, it doesn't really matter what you do for people. You're not going to get recognized for a lot of that stuff. And that's not going to stop me going above and beyond. I'll still do that because that's just in my nature, especially when it comes to cleaning. But yeah, I won't lie, I have become a bit disillusioned with my workplace, because while I know it's not up to my manager to allocate how many hours the store is allowed to roster people on for, it's still frustrating doing this work and not getting much for it. I mean, I've said in the past, obviously, they've been trying to offer me the manager position. They really want me to do manager stuff. I've already, and I don't want people to get misconstrued in this, I've already taken on the manager role before. I got offered it, and before I took that offer, my goal was within a year to be in a manager position. And I did it. I got offered that role within like 9 months of me working at this place. And I was managing 2 stores, doing 38 hours a week. I was making about $300 more than I'm making at the moment. But the job wasn't what I thought it would be. I went from me cleaning and doing what I'm good at, and having a good work-life balance, to essentially babysitting people, doing hardly any cleaning, just dealing with a bunch of computer shit and rosters, and having to replace people's shifts when they call in sick, and also having a work phone that was pretty much constantly attached to my hip, where I would be called at all hours of the day, sometimes at like 10 at night. I'd get messages or 8 p.m. at night, you know, I'd be settling in and I'd get a message, I can't make it to my shift today. And then I'd have to try find people, and then if I couldn't find someone, I'd have to contact the store manager and they'd be upset. And I did that for about a month and a half. And I should add, I wasn't getting paid manager rates for that. They bumped me up a little bit. I was making more money, but it wasn't what I should be making. And of course they promised, eventually you'll be on the manager's salary. But it was like, man, I don't even want it, because I signed up at this job to do more cleaning. I know that managers have certain extra responsibilities, but that phone, having that on you at all times, and you don't get paid outside of work to answer those calls and do all that extra shit. And that's, like I said, I don't mind going above and beyond when it comes to cleaning, but babysitting people and trying to deal with all the bullshit that other people would put on me, and I think that's what I disliked the most, was that it wasn't me who was controlling stuff, and it wasn't just me I had to worry about, it was other people. I had to be on other people's time and deal with other people's issues, to the point where, you know, I'd have grown men, 50-year-old dudes calling me up complaining about some other dudes on the team that were talking during their shift. And I'd be like, dude, if they're talking during their shift, it doesn't matter as long as they're getting the work done. But it just felt like no matter what, I was put in a very losing battle. I didn't get proper training for the role. They essentially just chucked me in it. And to be fair, I did great. like, after I relinquished the role after about a month and a half and said, I don't want to do it anymore, put me back to what I was doing, I had nothing but positive comments. But it just wasn't the right role. But, even me doing all that and stepping up and helping them when they needed it, when they were going through all these management changes and needed someone to fill the role, they still can't give me a shift on the weekend. They still can't take someone else off who barely does any work and give that shift to me, someone who will do more work, which is increasing the amount, which is actually making everything easier for everyone else in the workplace. So it's just a no-brainer that why wouldn't you have me on doing that instead of someone else? But I digress. Realistically, going off and complaining about this isn't going to fix the issue, and I realize that. So I pretty much just said to my manager today, I just said, look, realistically, I don't think I'm going to be here in another 2 months or so. In that time, if you can give me any weekend shifts, I will take them, whatever you can give me. But I'm just going to have to start looking for other work. So, yeah, I've been just, stressed about that. And that has resulted in me, going back to the cigarettes and porn and all this stuff. And, I mean, whatever, like, I'm not gonna, like I've said in previous videos, beat myself up for it. But as I have been gooning more and just enveloping myself in the slop, in the muck, in the filthy, degenerate habits, maybe filthy degenerate's a bit too strong a word, but in those kind of non-productive habits, I'm slowly starting to realize that, well, that's not helping me either. And so I think the main thing for me is just looking for something else while I'm still working at this place, and then finding that thing. I've done the thing before where I've had the no backup plan, quit my job. I've done all that, and it worked out good in the end, but I think this time I'll be a bit smarter and actually have a job lined up before I quit this one. But yeah, there's some big changes coming in regards to that. So things have been a bit all over the place, but that's life. You've got your ups and your downs, and I'll get through it. I'll figure it out. I always do. Sometimes that's the mentality you got to have in this life, guys. You're going to be faced with shit where things don't seem fair, where you feel like you're doing better work than 90% of other people, but you don't get recognized for it. And at that point, you have to make the decision of whether you want to stick around and continue slowly building up a resentment towards people, meanwhile you're still staying in the same position, or actually scooping your nuts and saying, well, I'm just going to have to tell these people, look, I'm going to leave soon, and if nothing changes, well, then I'm just going to have to change things myself. And that's all there is to it, really. And I did a video earlier today when I was coming home from work talking about being kind to others costs nothing. And I still believe in that. Like, even if you are going through difficult times, don't ever take it out on other people, because that'll just make you feel worse. It'll just create a vicious circle of pity and resentment, and that won't help you get out of the current spot you're in. It's actually better to be even more, as counter intuitive as it sounds, it actually works out better to be even kinder to people and more generous, in terms of how you deal with people and the time you give people. That pays off more than being spiteful and hateful and mad at the world because you feel like you're not getting recognized for what you should be recognized for. At the end of the day, unfortunately, a lot of people don't really care what you do. Everyone, and you've probably heard this before from many other people, like, no one really, and this isn't meant to sound like cynical, but I guess it will come out cynical. no one really cares what you're doing. Like, everyone is so absorbed in what they've got going on in their own lives that, I mean, you know, you could walk naked down the street holding a bell, ringing it, putting fucking whipped cream on your nips and bloody yelling that you're the second coming of Christ. And if, you know, for 2 hours or something, people will be like, whoa, this dude's nuts. You know, they might take a video of you, share it with their friends. In a week, they'll all forget it. Like, everyone's, especially nowadays, everyone's attention is so focused on themselves that no one really, apart from maybe your close friends and your family, no one really cares what you're doing. No one really cares what you're saying. And like I said, that shouldn't be a cynical thing, because it kind of is, it gives you a bit of freedom in realizing, well, like, why am I not doing more of the things I want to do based on how other people might react? You know, that's always been a thing I struggled with and still do struggle with, is worrying too much about other people's opinions and how other people might see things. And even with this job and me leaving, you know, the thought crosses my mind at like, but I'm so good at my job. Like, and my manager's told me many times, like, oh, don't leave, because my manager is planning on leaving soon too. But she's like, oh, don't leave before I leave, because honestly, I can't find anyone to replace you. Like, you're irreplaceable, kind of thing. And yeah, it feels good to hear that. And it's the truth, because I am fucking good at my job. But at the end of the day, I shouldn't feel guilty about wanting to find something better for myself, especially if I'm not getting what I want at this current job, which is literally just another 4-hour shift on the weekends. Like, I can't express to you guys how much that would actually help me in terms of my money. It wouldn't solve everything. I would still have to practice the self-discipline to save my money more, something that in the past I haven't been great at. But it would take a definite edge off, and it would at least give me that extra little bit of freedom, that extra little bit of maneuverability within my everyday life. But I can't get that. So instead of, you know, constantly moping and complaining about it, I just need to take the action and disregard other people's opinions and thoughts on it, and just say, well, this is what I want to do, I'm going to do it. I don't really give a shit if other people are going to be upset by it, because at the end of the day, they're all living their own lives. And if I go in another week or 2 weeks, they say I'm irreplaceable, they'll find someone to replace me. And yeah, they might more than likely won't be as good. They won't be cleaning things as much. They'll more than likely get a lot of complaints. But at the end, that's not my problem. At the end of the day, you know, it's their thing to deal with. And sometimes you have to do that. You have to just grab your ball sack in your hand and go, these are my nuts, this is my life, you know. Yeah, so, you know, I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about today. I think that's pretty much it. It's a pretty standard day. Yeah, I think the next step for me is just finding something new. I've been kind of looking at landscaping apprenticeships and opportunities there, maybe getting into a different cleaning job that pays more hourly, which is actually most of them. Woolworths, I shouldn't say Woolworths, the company I work for is probably the least paying, or the second least paying out of the organizations. Sure, you get extra benefits like the team discount and everything, which is nice, you know, 5% discount on all your shops. But there's definitely higher paying cleaning jobs out there that I would be just as good at. So I think that's the next step, guys, you know. But I'll figure it out. I'm not, at the end of the day, I've done this many times in my life. It's not the first time I've gone through this, and I've always found a way. Because I am, and this is what a lot of you guys will have to realize too, if you're a kind, generous, affable person who's capable of being a strong rock, and I am that kind of person in terms of how I can deal with things that are thrown at me like adversity. Like, even though I do have periods where I get down and I go and smoke cigs and do all this, I always pull myself out of that and find a new path for myself, and I grow a lot with that. And that's been a constant in my life, especially recently, since I broke up with my ex and had my brother. Like that, my brother dying and everything, that was a big transformative period for me. And ever since then, I felt this new kind of strength where it's like, even when I get down, I know I can deal with what life's chucking at me. Sometimes that just comes with age too. I'm not some old bloody fart who's full of wisdom. I know very little in this life. But I am 30 and I know a lot more than my 20-year-old self. I was a lot angrier and bitter at the world at that point. But now I'm more understanding that there's ebbs and flows in life. And yeah, it's just about riding that wave, man. So anyway, I think I'll sign off for now. It's pretty late here. It's like 11:30 here, so I'll probably head to bed after this video and get a good sleep. Go check out a new cafe with the missus tomorrow and just have a lax day. Get some more drawing done. But to all of you guys out there, I hope if there's any adversity you're facing or there's challenges that you're having crop up in your life, just realize that it's not as serious as you think it is. Life's not that serious. And at the end of the day, as long as you are treating people around you with respect, no matter what you're going through in your personal life, as long as you're maintaining that constant level of gratitude and kindness, regardless of if you don't feel like there's a lot of things to be grateful or kind about in your life, you can go far. You can. But you've got to kind of have the attitude of when enough gets to enough, and when you realize that you're giving too much to a certain person or a certain organization. I just nearly put my seat all the way back. But when you're giving that energy, too much of that energy away to a certain person or organization, sometimes it's better to just realize that you might need a change. You might need to direct that energy elsewhere. You know, as one of the guys in our Thumos group told me when I said I was struggling in the past with cam addictions and still do to a certain extent today, he's like, it's all energy, man. And I've heard that talked about a lot, like that horniness you feel. There's nothing wrong with being horny, especially if you're a dude. You're going to be horny, man. I'm constantly horny. Like constantly. But it's just about redirecting that energy. And if you've got that energy building up in your nutsack, redirect it to something else, something more positive for yourself. And sometimes in doing that, you have to deal with the fact that you might disappoint people. But like I said before, everyone's more focused on themselves. They'll forget about all that stuff within a very short period of time. The one who won't forget it is you. Like, you'll remember if you stayed in a job too long or if you didn't take a chance that you should have taken. So this is your moment. This is your reminder to go do that. If you feel like you're stagnating, if you feel like you're working a job where you don't like anyone, you don't like the boss, just leave it, man. You can leave it and you can find something better for yourself. And ultimately, even if there's some difficult moments in treading this new path, and there will be, you can look back and say, oh, I'm glad I made that decision because it propelled me in a new way forward, and it opened up new avenues for me. So yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. But yeah, enjoy your night or day wherever you are, people, beautiful people of the world. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.